Hi guys, this is Miss Karen and I'm going to be your instructor for today's Creative You Art Lesson Crate. We're going to be talking about Laurel Burch. She is an artist who was born in California on New Year's Eve in 1945. That was a really long time ago. She was a talented artist who began by making jewelry. She wore her jewelry during her everyday life and ended up selling her pieces to friends. People would even buy them off of her body when she was walking the streets. They'd say, "Oh, I love your earrings." And she would say, "Well, thank you, I made them." And they would say, "Can I buy them from you?" And she would. So her artistic jewelry became very, very popular. Later in life, she decided that she was kind of over making jewelry and wanted to start working on different mediums. Now, mediums in art is any kind of tool you use to make art. So if I said, what is your art medium if you are going to paint a canvas, you would say paint and canvas, and you might even say paintbrush. So she started working on fabrics and papers, and she's most known for painting her cats, but she also did lots of other things like mermaids and horses and birds and all these whimsical cartoony characters, and they're very bright and vibrant. Vibrant is another word for bright, like real rich colors. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's get our paper out, the thick paper, and your pencil, and we'll get started. Alright, so I have my pencil, and I have my reference paper here, which is the lesson that we just went over. I'm going to be basically looking at these cats here, but we're going to create our own version of that cat. So it may not look exactly like that because who's the artist? You're the artist. Is there a wrong way to do art? Absolutely not. You can do art however you like. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom in just a touch for you so you can see a little bit closer. When you draw, you want to start off with a sketch. When you sketch, that means you are drawing softly. Sometimes you can even pick up your fingers in order to draw softly, and that way you don't have a lot of pressure on your pencil. It's important to sketch first because if you accidentally mess up with a sketch, it's really easy to erase. If you mess up on a drawing, you may not be able to erase it and your drawing may be messed up for good. So let's get started. Towards the top of your paper, nice and big, kind of the size of your fist, you want to do a W, but this W is going to have a rounded bottom. See that? A rounded bottom. Almost like a J and a backwards J. Now I'm going to draw, let me zoom in on this for you so you can really see it. Now I'm going to draw the cat's nose. It is an upside down triangle and it is touching right where your W stops. I'm going to do two lines that go up, and then I'm going to take that line and go all the way out to the edge of my face. Cats don't normally look like this. This is a whimsical version. This is a cartoon. Now, we're going to connect this dot and this dot with a frown. Frown. We're going to do it again on this side. Frown. If you find that I go too fast, please pause the video and we can catch up as you go. We're going to do a parentheses, a circle, and a parentheses. A parentheses basically looks like a C and a backwards C. Now I want to come up from that same corner on the inside of the eye, up and out. But look, I ran out of the side of my face. That's okay. I'll just bring it up. I'll do it again over here too because I'm going to need more head. All right, come from the inside and out. Give him a bottom lip. Now we're going to do some ears. I want you to come straight up, down in, straight up, down in, and go straight across. And for the ears, I like to do a little bit of a upside down V in each one. Now, what do cats have that help them see in the dark? Whiskers. Do they actually help them see? No. What whiskers do is they touch things in the way of the cat, and so if the cat feels a whisker bend, that means that there's something right there, and don't walk into it. Now I'm going to zoom out so you can see the remainder of the body. A little bit more. And now let's draw a body on our guy. We're going to have him kind of facing this way, that way. So I want to come down about almost to the bottom of the cheek, maybe a little bit higher. And I'm going to do a long, slightly curved line. Do it again on this side. Not too shabby, huh? Now this is the part that gets a little bit confusing, so I'm going to push up just a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to come from one side, doesn't matter which side, I like to do it from the right side. I want to come in, and before I get to this line here, I want to kick it up, swirl it around. You see how my line isn't touching anything? It's just a big giant swirl in the middle. If your swirl does not look like a swirl, if it looks more like a snake or just a C, it's okay. Remember, this is your artwork. There's no wrong way to do this. Now I'm going to double this line because this is, what do you think? It's the tail. So I'm going to come in. Whoops, hang on, let me think. Okay, we're going to come in. And now we want to try and stay the same distance from this edge. All the way around. And then go to the point. Right here we have an opening, and that's going to be where the legs go. We're going to go bump, 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 and up, bump, 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 and up. Now I can't see this line because my tail's in the way, but if the tail weren't in the way, I would go all the way up to like here. So I'm going to draw that, and then I will erase this line. If yours looks something like this, then you're good. Now it's time to do what's called embellishing. This is where you're going to add designs to your cat. You're going to make them look cool. You can start with maybe some polka dots under the eyes. Maybe you have some zigzags underneath. Remember, you can do this however you want. And maybe you have zigzags across the body. Notice I'm doubling everything that I do. That's because when we fill it in, we are going to put color in that area. Now you can decorate yours with any patterns you like. It does not have to be like Miss Karen's. You know what I just noticed? I have a little bit of an area here where I should have some leg. So if I went up like that, erase where the tail's in front, I should actually have a leg showing. Look at that, Miss Karen messed up. Sorry about that, guys. See, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm me. And that's the best I can be. Now we can just decorate the background however you want. I think I'm going to do swirlies all over my background. You could do hearts, you could do stars, you could do triangles, smiley faces, you could do emojis all over the background, however you want to do it. Now it's time for outlining. What you want to do is pretend that your permanent marker is your train and your pencil lines are your tracks. Keep your train on your tracks. Follow everything. Take your time. This is not a race. It's not about finishing first. It's about finishing the best way that you can. So Miss Karen's going to go ahead and pause the video while she outlines everything on her picture. I want you to do the same thing, and when we come back, we'll be able to start on the next part. All right, my friends, so we have Sharpied our picture. Now it's time to erase any pencil lines that might be shown because you don't want them in your picture. That's why it's important to take your time when you're outlining. All right, now it's time for the fun part. We're going to be using the markers that you received in your packet. Now, when Miss Laurel Burch painted, it was very often on fabric. And when you paint on fabric, sometimes it spreads. So we're going to go with that idea. We're not going to worry too much about filling it in perfectly. We're just going to fill it in because I want to show you what happens when we take two colors or even one color and wet it. Now this only works with washable markers. So if your markers run out and you want to keep doing this, you can buy washable markers and it will work. You will need clean water in a bucket with your paintbrush. I'm going to take my brush, gently drag it up against the side of my bucket because I don't want it drippy. And let me zoom in so you can see this. Watch the magic. Ready? Here it goes. When you wet your markers, they become watercolors. It's like magic. I know, it's cool. And you see, I had yellow and red at the same time. So what did they do? They blended. When you blend together, you end up with two colors that kind of fall into each other. They mesh together. You want to be careful though. When you mix the wrong colors together, you will get brown. Now, brown is not a bad color. Brown's a beautiful color. But you may not want brown on your picture. So you want to make sure that the colors do not combine these if you don't want brown, is purple and yellow, red and green, and blue and orange. If you mix those together, if you mix those two together, or those two together, you're going to get a brownish color, which is not always what you want. So now we're going to have some fun. Start filling in your cat. Putting color wherever you want it. I'm not going to stress too hard about it because the water is going to make them spread and it's going to look pretty. Notice I have painted with or drawn with rainbow colors. Rainbows are great idea because the colors blend into each other naturally. Look at that. I'm going to clean off my brush. I have a lot of paint on there, and I'm going to go from this direction. So your project is now to fill in your entire cat, including your background, with color. And if it spreads outside, that's okay. Now, before we get going, if you want the eyes black, you can Sharpie them. You will notice that anything that you have Sharpied will not bleed because it is not a washable marker. It is a permanent marker. Permanent markers do not spread unless you put rubbing alcohol on them. So your basic lines will stay while the rest of it kind of fades away and drifts off and spreads. I really enjoyed working on this project with you. I hope you enjoyed your Laurel Birch project. I'm going to provide a sped up version of me finishing my cat for you to watch and see how I did mine. Remember, I want you to do yours your own way because you're an artist, you're important, and your point of view is important too. So I really enjoyed this. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you soon. Bye.